just missed it. I mean, he just did a little bit where he's doing the Karate Kid stance. So yeah, he's a mocker. Okay, so remember that I'm not gay. There's a bunch of immature frat nerds everywhere, and they're covertly changing my voice. So what happened that day when I went to Santa Clara University? Okay, where there was this nerdy sort of guy with his daughter, and his wife was there, I guess. That was some Asian lady who was his wife, I'm assuming. And so he did the kind of mocker stance for the Karate Kid, and he did it right when I started recording. And so, you know, some people might say, oh, this guy's gonna get mad or whatever. You see, I handled it very, very well because I'm logical, I'm disciplined. You know, one can argue that it was a coincidence, but I'm sure that it wasn't. But I don't respond on the spot as if I'm sure in a situation like that. If the person had done it without his family around and he was staring at me and he was hostile, I probably would have said something to him, right? I would have said, hey, that's unnecessary. You know, give me my respect just like I give you your respect if you were doing something important in the name of moral precision or something like this. Okay, I'm not a violent person. I'm not a illogical person. I'm not going to just flip out or something. It's pretty straightforward. So it's important to note that between that incident, what happened in San Francisco, there was one guy who was lightweight acting like a mocker, but for the most part, the people in San Francisco gave me my respect to a certain degree, you know, and as far as the people I came across. In Oakland, there was one guy who, I'm not sure who he was talking to, but he was on the phone or something. He was saying something like, shut the fuck up like a mocker or something. Had that guy made it clear that he was talking to me, I would have responded to him, Oakland or not. Okay? It wasn't exactly a tough gang member or something. I would have weighed the situation and said, okay, do I have to take disrespect from this person when I was on like 10th Street and Martin Luther King or something in Oakland? No, I don't. Okay? I do not see things the way that they want you to think that Christ sees things. I believe in fighting for honor. In certain circumstances, right, there's a bunch of guys with guns or something and they're talking down to me, I'll walk away. Yeah. Because that's being wise and smart. If there's some mocker punk by himself running his mouth, I'm going to respond. It's not my job to set everyone straight. Okay? But to move with wisdom, putting God first, putting God above feelings, and so on and so forth, which also means honoring my position as the top martial artist ever possible. So if that was to happen, okay, and it probably wouldn't, people in Oakland have a better head on their shoulders quite often than they're given credit, then in that case, I would chastise the community. I'd go back there and I'd chastise them thoroughly, okay? And in different circumstances, I might go back there strapped and chastise them and maybe shoot out with them as necessary, because I do not see things the way you think that I do. Okay, I'm a man fighting for honor, and I won't be treated like a punk. And that's also reflected in my life story. However, I move with a certain tact, a certain strategy, a certain wisdom, insight, discernment, and sense. You've got to understand it. You've got to respect it. You've got to understand. If the roles were reversed, I'd expect them to respond to me accordingly. Okay? When you insult the top martial artist ever possible, you deserve to be chastised. You deserve to be confronted. But the person who's the top martial artist, which is me, top martial artist ever possible, is going to respond within reason. So when I seen those three attractive young Hispanic ladies in Gilroy, okay, they didn't stop and listen to me. Okay, that's their choice. I didn't say, hey, where are you going? Stop and listen to me. If they choose to follow their handler's guidance or whoever, or maybe they're just walking down the street on a fluke and they're hacking their brains. Maybe they're not hacking their brains. Okay? They still made that choice, and I, respected their right to make that decision. And if I tried to talk to one of them and got rejected, I'd respect their right to reject me in terms of free will. But on a divine level, I would not respect it at all, and there'll be extreme punishment waiting for them. This is the code that I live by, a code that is infallible, a code that no one could possibly present a viable counterargument for. I'm much more intelligent than everyone else, and I've proven that to a T. There's no scientist out there who can argue that his life is more wise than mine. No president, no social controller, no so-called leader out there. I am the top martial artist. Martial arts is about lifestyles, and mine is superior. That gentleman, or whatever you want to call him, who did the mocking thing, he probably was just told to do it, didn't know what's going on. I don't know. But certainly if he compares life to mine, there I am out there serving God as the top martial artist ever possible, and he's a mere dime a dozen frat person who is doing a mocker stance wittingly or otherwise. He's caught slipping on the path to hell. He's caught slipping on the path to the abyss, to the pit. And while he was slipping, with no righteous acts, he was shamefully naked, as they say, because he didn't have the righteous acts, the fine linen that stands for the righteous acts of righteous people adorning him. So he was caught slipping, mocking the top martial artist ever possible, with his family right there with him, assuming that's his family. You see what I'm saying? At that moment, I was doing the right thing. At every moment, I'm doing the right thing. So at any moment, someone comes right now, I'm doing the right thing. When I wake up tomorrow, I'm doing the right thing. When I'm sleeping, worn out from doing the right thing, I'm doing the right thing. If I make my romantic pitch to a woman, I'm doing the right thing. Other people cannot say the same. Martial is marital scrambled. Is the mocker equal or superior to the top martial artist ever possible? No. Is the attractive woman, regardless of race, equal or superior to the top martial artist ever possible? No. They have yoked themselves in more ways than one to unbelievers, to people who cheat me out of my right to lead, which is worse than starving to death everyone who's ever starved to death on this planet and everyone who ever will. Because righteousness is greater than life in the flesh, and honoring God's Son is more important than saving every life that was ever taken and every life that ever will be taken. I live by an infallible and pure code, with a pure spirit, not an unclean and impure spirit like the opposition view. So I have triumphed with true nobility, not mere human rules, customs, and traditions. True honor, not mere lip service from bootlicking cowards who would reject or cheat the top martial artist ever possible. And for what? For Pee Wee Herman? For Stifler? For Snoop Dogg? For Donald Trump? Who would they reject Christ Almighty for when Trump went on TV and said Christ is above him? Can you imagine his so-called fans choosing him over me? When he himself has admitted I'm greater. Does he have a counter argument for the fact that I'm Christ? No. Think about it. People are hypocrites that testify against themselves all the time. In the word testify, right? It starts with test. It starts with set, spelled backwards, right? T-E-S-S-E-T. For the principles of evil. Because people so commonly testify on behalf of their wicked nature that this even scrambled into the word. Test if why. Test if I. If you do what? If you see it how way? What kind of mental vision do you have? God Almighty has allowed me to conquer the lifestyles, the choices, and existence of other people, their souls and spirit. Because universal pinpointed moral precision is greater than all. If I was to take on a Buddhist monk, a gentleman who does Shaolin Kung Fu, I would outmaneuver him. I would strike faster than him. I strike with more passion and precision, with everything considered. Why? Because righteousness is greater than mere religions. Righteousness is greater than action. It's greater than being a monk and removing yourself. The archetype of Pharaoh is Horus. Horus is a name for face. Face us. And the deity of the craft in the Greco-Roman system, Hephaestus, is a play on words for he faced us. The crafty snake has been faced by the top martial arts. I have triumphed over masonry. I have triumphed over all the nations. All the nations surrounded me with their inferior philosophies and paths. And in the name of universal pinpointed moral precision, I struck them down as the top martial artist ever possible. If I was to say this to any female on the planet who's attractive, who's anywhere near the top 1% of attractive females with sense, if they didn't understand that I'm right immediately and that I'm the ideal dating man, then they are a dumb fucking bitch. A dumb oppressor dating female who wastes her life. A dumb and unruly female dog. Okay, so in reflecting on the video that I just made, it's important to note that when one is angry about something, for example, thinking about letting people who worship the devil slide when they've confronted you, they're likely to explain things in a way that's a bit confusing. So what I meant is, if those people in Oakland, right, or different people in Oakland had come around who were thugged out, right, who were straight criminals, ruffians, tough street people, and they're in the spirit of Baal, in the spirit of Set. That's why a gang set is called a set. Okay, it's a play on words. It's part of the game, the wordplay game. Wordplay and quote unquote playing the game and being a player and being a baller, right? Ball. Okay, that if the situation was serious enough, okay, if it was important enough, then I wouldn't give a damn about the law. But I'm not going to break the law in a way that is wrong. I'm not going to let, my desire to show somebody up overcome my desire to be wise and serve God. A lot of people have this issue twisted, and that also upsets me. Was Samson turning the other cheek? No. Was David or Joshua or Jonathan? No, they were not. Was Gideon? Was he tiptoeing through the tulips with those who worship the world deities? No. Are the lessons in the Old Testament transcended and defeated by the lessons of the New Testament? No. A lot of people get that confused. Christ and God are the same yesterday, today, and forever. The rules are the same. When Christ said that Moses gave you that command because your hearts were calloused and things like this, it didn't mean that people weren't held to the same standard they were. The standard was, what is the ruling of God? What are the commands of God? What are the orders of God? The commands and commandments and chain of command. So Moses in the chain of command, David in the chain of command, Christ in the chain of command. In this time where people are under mind control and law enforcement, though some of them might feel very bad about it, are helping the government enforce it. You must think about what is right and what is wrong. They have planned things around people being dumb enough to turn the other cheek in every scenario in a way that is illogical. For example, in Revelation 19, is Christ in the army of heaven? Are Christ in the army of heaven turning the other cheek? No. They're waging war with righteousness and justice. Was that the plan and it stayed in the Old Testament? Yes. The day of the Lord, Isaiah 16:5, Amos, you name it. That was always the plan. The Lord is a warrior, the Lord is his name. So now that I, Christ, am back, am I supposed to get pushed around by scum? No. That's why I've been spiritually trampling them every step of the way. There's nothing they can do. When somebody's completely right with God and they have bore fruit in a way that's irreversible, irrefutable, and infallible, they could knock that person out. It would mean nothing. A first grader could knock that person out. It would mean nothing because of the technology, because of the sabotage. There's nothing they could do. They gunned me down fair and square. It would mean nothing. Because of years of sabotage, poisoning, and fuming, I have conquered. And I'm here, in a sense, as a reminder that I have conquered, and to give people the opportunity to rally and obey God through me, the only way. I am the way. The Christos, the root and offspring of David, the heir to his throne. I am the heir. The parable of the tenants also applies to David and Solomon when he was right with God, to Asa and Hezekiah when they were anointed. Whatever moments they were right with God, Asa did a pretty good job. The root and offspring of David, the root, it applies to Nimrod and Moses and Abraham and Noah and Abel. The divine verdict is on the lips of a king. And once my heart is aligned with God, even through sabotage, even through brain hacking, my verdicts are sound. We've seen that time and time again. The things that I say are perfect. God's law is perfect, and I'm the most perfected man ever possible. Out of jealousy, they changed my look, changed the sound of my voice, try to play me out, but no one believes it. They're more likely to believe a coalition of used car salesmen, convicted child molesters, and politicians than to believe that the Son of God has magically been profaned, or that he's less believable and reliable than the government and everyone else put together. If you do not know that I'm right, you're wrong. And you must be crazy. My father came here in his generation. He showed up everyone in his generation too. Came here penniless. Became the most moral brain surgeon that ever lived. The father of Chukwuemeka, the son of God in the end. Ham begot Cush. Cush didn't just begot Nimrod. Cush, in terms of black people in general, certain warrior black people in general. Once you define it that way, from that same tree, that same good warrior tree, that sub-Cush tree, if you will, we see Chukwuemeka. Now, am I a racial supremacist? No. But just like the authors of the Bible felt they needed to give credit to people's heritage and where credit is due, I weighed that on the scales, the divine scales, said that's what's fair. It is not right to downplay the fact that the most stigmatized people, because the world is full of evil, mind you, bore and brought forth the top martial artists ever, but after my flesh dies, nobody's going to be right with God. Don't forget that. That overkills that I'm not racist and that it's fair to say it. While all you people were saying, ew, a black guy. While all you people were telling your daughters not to date the black man because it's too much trouble. Then you were going to your church most of the time, a lot of the time. And it was telling you to pick up your cross and follow God. It's talking about people who spoke an Afro-Asiatic language called Israelites. It was talking about Amos 9:7, where Ham begot Cush, where are you not the same as the Cushites unto me, O children of Israel? What it was really saying is, don't you wish you were as mighty as Nimrod, O children of Israel? That if Nimrod did these things and God was giving you the same fair chance, that you have a chance to do these things. And then time and time again, they rejected it. You think God rewards generations of wickedness and backsliding, generations of idolatry, or he rewards generations of moral might? That's what's at stake here. I don't care if it's Jews, other black people, I don't care if it's other Igbos and other mulatto people. If any people on this planet argues that they're chosen and that the most righteous person that ever lived is not, should they not be rebuked? Should they not be chastised? Should they not be put in a place that's well beneath me, as I am the most righteous, and righteousness is greater than flesh-based heritage? Also, if you didn't catch it the first time, when it comes to somebody challenging me on behalf of the devil, my response transcends the need to follow the law. That needs to be understood. And so that's why I'm right about that scenario in Oakland where I said that I would do X, Y, and Z. If I was in a situation where X, Y, and Z occurred.